The end of the line for a legendary Washington lawmaker, Arlen Specter.
Been a great privilege to serve the people of Pennsylvania.
Longtime Senator Arlen Specter out in Pennsylvania, defeated in the Democratic primary by this guy right here. You've seen him on this newscast many times. There's Joe Sestak, who took on Specter while bucking the odds, bucking conventional wisdom, bucking the White House, bucking the Democratic Party. He said this last night after winning.
Too many career politicians are a bit too concerned about keeping their jobs rather than serving the public, rather than helping people.
And while we see some of the good times from last night, I want to bring in Joe Sestak. You know how he's been on this newscast before, talking about everything from the war in Afghanistan to piracy to what he had planned to do during this primary. And, folks, he's done it. Congratulations. Congratulations, sir. We appreciate you being here.
It's great to be back, and thank you very much.
Hey, why'd you win?
People had lost faith in Washington, D.C. It was so obvious. Last July, when I had to go to the 67 counties of Pennsylvania to decide whether to get in or not, boy, I got to tell you, even though Democratic establishment told me to sit down, I was taken with how people just didn't trust Washington anymore. I had seen that in the military. When I joined up during the Vietnam era, we were ranked dead last out of 15 institutions by the Gallup poll in terms of trust. We worked hard to bring that trust back. And that's what I see down here. And I think that was it. I just didn't run for my congressional job at the same time, so they knew it wasn't about my job, it was about theirs.
Did you hear what I just said about you when I was introducing you? I was thinking long and hard about this, but I think I'm right, but I want you to confirm whether I'm right. You bucked the White House, you bucked the Democratic Party, you bucked the odds, you bucked conventional wisdom. Most people were telling you, don't do this. You know, Arlen Specter's a fine guy. Let's keep him on board for a couple of years. How long can he be there? And then you can take it after that. You said, no, I'm going to run. I'm going to take him on. He's not a legitimate Democrat, and I'm going to beat him. Am I wrong?
Well, I always remembered what John F. Kennedy once said. Sometimes the party asks too much. I'm in Pennsylvania. We're pretty independent-minded. And at the end of the day, I knew that we and my daughter were going to have to live with a senator for the next 6 years. And Washington, D.C. truly does deals that sometimes I think aren't as principled as a principled compromise might be. It's more of a compromise of principle. And so when I heard a farmer say to me during that 67 county tour, if I would ask him, how's the recession? He replied, not too bad. I'm hurting so much already before. It really struck home. I got to tell you, I honestly think there's something else now. I've got to make sure that people understand I do think government can work. I do think there's a role for our United States government to help people. Take, for example, the majority of Pennsylvanians work in a small business. Why are we giving a tax credit to a large corporation that invests in a foreign factory? Why isn't there a 15% tax credit for small businessmen that create a new payroll? We'd soak up 5 million unemployed in 2 years. There's got to be a refocus to where we just haven't been paying attention.
Your point is very well made, and I think it's one that's reverberating all over the country. Let me ask you about the President of the United States. There's a lot of talk out there that he was, after all, the big loser in all of this because he was supporting Arlen Specter. There's even a lot of talk that you were offered a job as Secretary of Navy. Let me stop there. Did the President of the United States, did the White House approach you and offer you the Secretary of the Navy position?
I was asked the question about 2 months ago about something that happened last July. No one ever had asked me the question, did someone offer you something to get out? I answered it honestly, yes. And then I said, stop. I'm not going to get into what was a deal offer because I'm not going to get out for a deal. I only get out if it was something that was right to do. And here's what I believe. This kind of deal-making in Washington is kind of what soured Americans and, quite frankly, soured me.
But, Congressman, you're not... But
I honestly believe this.
Hey, look, you know I appreciate you being here, and you know that I love having you on my show. But I just asked you a very direct question. Give me a direct answer. Did the President, did the White House offer you the Secretary of the Navy gig?
And the answer is, I've said I was offered something. I don't have to go beyond that. I don't think it helps anybody. But I could have demurred when I was first asked the question. I said yes, but beyond that, it doesn't matter. And by the way, remember, it happened last July, and I didn't even get asked about this to March. But you asked me about President Obama.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a referendum on him at all.
No?
I've told everybody during the campaign I wanted to be his strongest ally down the Senate. Obviously not a yes man, but I honestly believe he's got the policy approaches that I saw in the U.S. military that help people. Think about the military. Everybody has health care. We don't even promote you above a chief petty officer unless you earn an associate's college degree in technology. And come on in and earn a pension. We're not socialist. We're not liberal. We're pragmatic. And that type of approach by a government, I think, that's frugal with its spending, I think is the right way to go.
All right. I turned on the radio this morning, and I heard all the Republicans saying last night they were the winners. Are they right?
No, absolutely not. Massachusetts said it best. Massachusetts said, pox on both your houses down in Washington, D.C. We voted for change in politics, not just policy. You know, this I must win, you must lose. Imagine if we could get the Hatfields and the McCoys to work together like, quite frankly, I saw in the military. We were accountable for our actions. The issue down here is people don't want to take accountability for their actions. Take immigration. Arizona passing that law that's wrong, but nevertheless understandable because the Senate isn't dealing with immigration. Take cap-and-trade energy policy. I would think we would want someone as the courage of the conviction who would run through all 67 counties of Pennsylvania and say, here's what I believe in, and come down and shape policy. My district is 53% Republican, 35% Democrat. My second time I ran, I only put money in yard signs. Only yard signs, a couple $1,000. Why? They'd learn after only 2 years that they could trust us because we keep our office open 7 days a week. They don't necessarily agree with me, but they know where I stand, and they're not going to know I'm going to flip-flop tomorrow. And they know I stand for small businesses, education, and health security. Not liberal, not conservative, pragmatic.
Hey, Congressman, one of the things that helped you win, no doubt, was that wonderful ad that you put out that everyone was saying was picturesque, both in form and format. Let me show the viewers first what we're talking about, and then let me ask you about it. Hit the first part of this, if you would, Raj.
I'm Joe Sestak, the Democrat. I authorize this message.
My change in party will enable me to be reelected.
For 45 years, Arlen Specter has been a Republican politician.
Arlen Specter is the right man for the United States Senate. I can count on this man. See, that's important. He's a firm ally.
But now,
my change in party will enable me to be reelected.
Arlen Specter switched parties to save one job. His, not yours.